Okay, yeah, we are set now. So, good evening once again, and welcome to your last class or the last episode of this year's mentoring. So, I've gone live and I've also started the recording. At this point, I will hand it over to your class supervisor. Please, Benga, you on the call.
Yes, I'm on the call, ma'am. Good evening, everyone.
Okay, you can proceed.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday. And yeah, sorry about the short notice about the class. Okay, good evening. So this is our last class for the project management class. And today we have a special guest among us, Mr. Belumi Oluwatayo. So I'll be introducing you to him now. Sorry, please, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, go on, Bega.
Okay. Mr. Belumi Oluwatayo is a technical assistant to the CEO and project manager at Agivin Group, where he plays a pivotal role in delivering innovative solutions and supporting the execution of complex, large-scale operations across the oil and gas value chain. With a strong blend of technical depth and strategic insights, he holds a bachelor degree in petroleum engineering from the University of Ibadan and an executive MBA from the Rome Business School in Italy, equipping him with both engineering expertise and advanced managerial competence. Mr. Pelumi began his career as a student intern, and through consistent excellence, discipline, and results-driven performance, he advanced into leadership roles within the organization. Mr. Pelumi is a graduate member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers (NSC) and is soon to be a current certified engineer. He holds professional certification in project management, data analytics, and business analytics, reinforcing his ability to deliver data-driven and efficient project outcomes. He has also authored three technical publications within the Society of Petroleum Engineers (SPE), and he has contributed to several high-impact projects spanning between the upstream, midstream, and integrated energy solution in the oil and gas industry. Mr. Polumi's outstanding contribution has earned him multiple recognition, including the Ajivin Award of Technical Excellence, the SP Legal Section Young Professional Sub Committee Service Award, and also honors from MISS TYB Educational Foundation for his commitment to volunteerism and youth development. He is a dedicated member of SPE since 2016, and he has demonstrated exceptional leadership and service. He is also the former overall team lead, of the University of Ibadan SPE student chapter, and he has led the SPE Presidential Award. He has gone to lead the team to win the prestigious SPE Presidential Award for Outstanding Student Chapter. He also served as the SRE and HSC team lead at the SPE Legal section and currently serves as the SRE leader, where he drives impactful sustainability, sustainability initiative, governance, contribution, and strategic program that strengthen community engagement and professional development. Now, beyond SPE, who is Mr. Oluwapelumi Oluwatayo? Is the president of the Platform for Innovative and Productive Ideas, PIPI. This is an energy-focused research organization. He also served as the regional qualifier chairperson for the Mathematics for Life Foundation and is also a mentor with MISS TYB Educational Foundation. Mr. Oluwapelumi is passionate about mentorship, leadership, and sustainable energy development. Mr. Oluwapelumi is committed to equipping the next generation of professionals with the technical expertise, strategic mindset, and ethical foundation required to lead and excel in project management and the evolving global energy landscape. Please, everyone, let's welcome Mr. Oluwapelumi Oluwatayo. You're welcome, sir.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, everybody. So 19-12 hours. Currently I'm on the field, so I apologize for my dressing. I'm currently on the field and I'm on standby. So I had to take out some time to join this session. So just in case there's probably a glitch or I need to pick a call from the CCL, just permit me, please. Thank you so much for having me here. It's good to be here. I must say, I've been a very, very close friend of my mentor, Anthony, because we work together. And I think I say FG, yeah, I think I met FG at the STS, so it's quite good to be here again. Good evening. I hope that this session is going to actually go well. So yeah, today I'll be talking about project managers playbook. I heard my citation being read. I hope that at least you guys will understand that I'm supposed to move in this industry. Okay, please confirm you can see my screen.
Yeah, you're visible.
All right,
Go
thank
on,
you so
press your
much.
screen.
Yes, sir.
Today's session is going to be on the project manager's playbook, turning plans into results. Basically, what this session is going to be about is how to create a project from start to finish. I understand this is part of the project mentorship series, so I'm sure that some of the things that I'm going to mention here, I've mentioned in the previous sessions, since this is the last and final. So in case you are hearing it again, please, I apologize. It's going to be a special course for you guys. So you guys are smart. Yeah, so this is a little background about me. My citation has been read, so I'm not going to go around this thing. So yeah, for my goals, I like to build strong expertise wherever I am, which I like to advocate, and which is something that Anthony is also doing. So it's a good thing. I like to mentor others. I have some mentees under me, and I like what this session is all about. This is mentorship. I want to explore the world. I like to travel. I want to explore the world. I like to travel, become SP's major sponsor, and also increase volunteering. Yeah, so that's a little about me, and this is what I look like on the field. So yeah, today's agenda is going to cover what project management entails from start to finish. We're going to be talking about the life cycle stages. We're going to talk about planning, deep diving into planning, contract writing, which is very important, and people overlook. Also, risk assessment, and then the overall recap of the playbook. Yeah, so what is project management? Project management is application of knowledge, skills, tools, techniques, project activities to make them successful. Basically, they are trying to meet project requirements in a specific time frame, scope, and budget. Basically, that's the three triangle of a project. And I must say to you guys that every one of us is a project manager. You don't necessarily have to have an experience in any major activity or any major project to be called a project manager. I say this because we handle projects every day in our lifestyle, like every single part of our life. It's a project. Say you are trying to get to the bus stop, you are trying to go to work, you're trying to go to school. From your hostel, you're going to plan. I have to walk down to the what's it called now, hostel gate. I need to get a cab to class. I need to get a cab to this place. By the time I get to this place, do I have to negotiate my fare? Do I have to decline or accept, you have to counter offer. Basically, I'm going to try to explain this thing as in simple terms as I can. So who's a project manager? You are a project manager. Every one of us, we are project managers. So what we do is we try to shepherd the project from start to finish. Essentially, and not only finishing well, but leading teams, working with people, communicating with people to deliver results on time. Timeliness comes again, scope and budget. Those are the three triangles of a very, very successful project. So I have 6 roles of a project manager, which is to plan and identify, needs to organize. All he has to do is to define the scope, create the work breakdown structure, which is WBS, and establish the deliverables. Also needs to identify risks, build timelines, budget, cost and control, quality management, and remove barriers. So the 3 major things here comes again: time, scope, budget. Also, underlying is risk and quality management. In every project, there are risks. So you need to proactively identify, log, and mitigate the risk. If you identify the risk without logging it or without looking for ways to improve or mitigate these risks before they actually affect the project, then your time, scope, and budget is going to be impacted. And once budget is impacted, the project is delayed. Once scope is impacted, the project is delayed also. So basically, all a project manager needs to do are these 3 major things, and I will proceed. So yeah, the project team, the project team consists of different people. You need to get the project manager, assistant project manager, the HSE rep, depending on the kind of project. If it's a construction project, you are trying to construct the bridge, you need to get the facility supervisor, you need to get security, you need to get the hands-on guys, you need to get the ones that would coordinate the traffic, the ones that would coordinate the trucks and all those things. Yeah. Also, you need to get someone to man the warehouse to control inventory of the stuff that you have, right? So a project manager does these 5 things every day on a daily basis. Number 1 is to teach and mentor. That's the first thing that you are supposed to do as a project manager. That is what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to share my knowledge to the team. You're supposed to share your knowledge, coach the team members, foster continuous learning and improvement. By doing this, it's kind of keeping everybody in the loop of what's going on in your project. Say you run into a problem, and then because you don't communicate or you don't mentor your people, you are the sole person to manage this risk, right? Or a problem shared is half solved, so they say. It's actually very correct. So if you are teaching people and you're mentoring them, it becomes easier for you because they already understand what they're supposed to do or how they're supposed to come in. Empower the team. You need to delegate. You need to trust people. A lot of people will tell you that they don't, when they are leaders in quotes, they'll tell you that they don't micromanage their team. But I beg to differ. Everybody says, a lot of people will tell you that they don't like to micromanage their team. They want to leave you to do what you want to do. At the same time, there's a very, very thin line between empowering the team and actually micromanaging. You need to delegate with clarity. I want you to handle this particular task. I trust that you can do it. So that's why I'm delegating it to you. And it's understanding the capability of that particular person. Say a person is a nurse. You are trained as a nurse, and because you're my project, I'm telling you, I want you to pilot my vessel to shore. That's not going to work. I'm trying to empower you, but that's not your line of work. So it's not going to work. Also, you need to communicate, you need to deliver clear, timely information. Timely is very, very important because a lot of issues that occur with projects is mostly communication. So if there's a particular incident, you need to report it on time, you need to take your log and try to mitigate it. You need to control change. Yeah, so for change is something, change management is a very key aspect in project management where you have to understand and take note of the changes to your project. Say you were supposed to cast, still working on the bridge now, you're supposed to cast, and then rain starts falling. So unfortunately, you will not be able to cast in the rain because the rain is going to wash up the cement and the sand and all those things. So you need to change, you need to adjust the schedule. So change management is actually logging these things. Oh, you guys brought me Dangote cement while I requested for Elephant cement, right? You are going to log that change and notice that, yes, this was what I asked for, but this is what you gave me. So I need to request a change. So I'm not going to proceed with that material. It's very important. In my industry, people will tell you that, no, I know this job, I've been doing this thing for a long time. I can easily use this for this and that for that. So it's a very, very, very key aspect of project management. And the final one is build relationship, which is, I will not say the most important, but it's very key. It's one of the pillars of project management. You need to be able to trust your team. You need to be able to trust your sponsors, your stakeholders, trying everybody that is very important in that particular project. So moving on, we'll be talking about the stages of project management. This is the project life cycle. So number one is initiation, where you define goals, project charter, stakeholders, and feasibility. I don't know which project to use now. Maybe someone will suggest something later on that we can build a case study around. So initiation, you need to define your goals. Oh, I want to go to class. I want to get I want to change my wardrobe. 20,000 naira. That is your goal. I need to change my wardrobe. Time, cost, and budget. I have a budget, 20,000 naira. Time, scale. In your project chapter, you would list everything that relates to your project. Understand the stakeholders. The stakeholders now, you are the major stakeholder. But I would let you know that the the vendor is also a stakeholder, because you are buying from the vendor. The vendor will tell you, oh, this thing is 20,000 naira. And you say, oh, I can't afford this much. I want to pay 15,000 naira. So you both are stakeholders, whether you like it or not. In fact, your, what's it called now? The transport system you are going to use to get to the market. That person is also a stakeholder, because say the vehicle stops on the road and the guy is like, oh, I'm no longer going towards the direction of the market. Then it impacts your project, right? So planning stage is the second, where you establish the scope, schedule, budget, risks, and communication plan. Move on to execution, where you build the deliverables and the team. Also track progress monitoring. 3 and 4, they go hand in hand together, because as you are executing your project, you are monitoring the project, right? And number 5 is closure, where you hand over your commission and then you celebrate success. So I added a key insight here, saying that projects are very linear. You may revisit planning during execution or jump back to initiation if scope changes. And what this means is that you could be in phase 3, right? You've started executing your project, and then something happens. You would have to go back to planning stage or initiation, depending on the kind of change that occurs during the project. So project is not linear. It doesn't go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that is established. You need to go from 1 to 5. But along the way, while you're in 3, while you're in 4, you might need to go back to 1. Or maybe the stakeholder says that, oh, you're building this bridge. Can you also add something on that, say you're building, constructing a football field, under the bridge? So that's another plan. You need to now identify what you need to develop that. Basically, you're going back to initiation stage while executing. So you're running 2 projects now concurrently. This slide is talking about stage 1, which is the project initiation. As I said, you need to measure your goals. Your goals have to be smart. Smart meaning specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. You need to understand your scope. The scope is the boundary of the work that you're supposed to do. I'm supposed to build a car. While building a car, I'm not responsible for charging the car. It needs to be defined. I am building the charger with it. It is the buyer's responsibility to charge the batteries of the car. My scope is to build the car, deliver to you. So basically, understanding your scope to prevent scope creep. Scope creep is something that is trying to creep or enter into your project scope. I want to build a car, and then along with you, I'm like, okay, so I build this car now. How these guys charge it? Okay, let me help them. Let me put this, or I'll get a higher battery. I'll try to integrate solar panels on the car. That is not the scope of the work. Because as soon as you deviate from the actual work you are going to impact the time, scope, and the budget, because the budget is going to increase. The time operation of that car is going to increase. Also, your deliverables, you need to identify, you need to know, okay, what am I doing at the end of this? What is the end goal of this project? Am I producing a bag? What type of bag am I producing? Will I be able to make pairs of this bag? Things like that. You must identify the deliverables of the project. Success criteria also. You need to measure the standards the standards that would make your project successful. I want to buy a bag, but I have 20,000 naira. The vendor is telling me 25,000 naira. So, I mean, it's not success because I'm not going to get that bag unless I get it for 20,000 naira, which is my project. So, that is also a project. And then stakeholders, I've explained stakeholders already. And then resources. Your resources are your people, budget, and materials. These things are very important. Depending on the kind of projects you're working on, if it's construction, materials could be the trucks, fuel, sand, cement, gravel, and all those things. So as I said earlier, a project charter is a document that categorizes the project, defines its objectives, identifies the stakeholders. Everything you need for that project is identified in project charter. So anybody that picks up the project charter is going to understand what the project is about. Say you are a visitor to a project site. The first thing you need to ask for after the safety induction is project charter. I want to understand what you're doing. I mean, this looks like a car you're building, but what kind of car is it? It's going to be identified in project charter. It is listed there already, right? So in stage 2, we are talking about planning. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Plan to fail, fail to plan. Goes both ways. Yeah, these are the 3 pillars of planning. You have the schedule, budget, and the risk plan. Schedule is the work put down structure. Okay, the first thing I want to do is feasibility study. I want to go to the site. I want to look at it. I want to understand what do I need. That is when you start asking yourself those questions, you are already working on breakdown structure. And then the principal parts, the milestones. Milestones, okay. At what point would I say I'm successful? Okay, foundation. Okay. After foundation, I build to a certain point. After that, lintel. After that, decking. After that, second floor, third floor, and all those things. So those are milestones that you are building because you are going to be marking a progress report. You're going to be doing a progress report. They are going to be showing your progress in percentages, right? Also, budget. You need to understand that you should have cost estimates, even though you might not have the exact figures. You need to have contingency reserves. Very important. Very important. You need to spend your tracking and forecasting. Most times when you're preparing for a project, everybody just says miscellaneous, miscellaneous. What's miscellaneous? 30,000 naira, 50,000 naira. Not really understanding what miscellaneous means. We all do it. Yeah. We just add miscellaneous and give it a particular figure. But miscellaneous is not the same as contingency reserve because you are just trying to buffer up your what's it called now? Your cost, right? In case of any emergency, say a bus was supposed to pick up 20 people and then 25 people came. So I needed to get a cab to take the extra 5 people. That is what's it called now? That's your miscellaneous. Or you plan to buy something. Initially you went for a market survey, told you it was 20,000, and then you're getting there, it says 25,000. The extra cost comes from miscellaneous. When I say contingency reserve is like you need still a huge sum of money, say 500,000 naira for a 1 million naira project. It's almost half of the overall budget for that project. And also you need to track your spending. You need to track, I bought a sachet of water, I bought a bag of water for the security. Okay, Anthony came to visit my facility, I bought him lunch to make him happy. I need to track that. I need to record it that I actually bought Anthony food, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're doing your audit, you will start seeing that, profit and loss, my income, my debit and my credit. They're not adding up because you did not track your spending. Risk plan, very important. Before you project, you identify the risk register, probability and impact metrics, mitigation actions. These are the things that would help you understand the project because risks occurs. But I will be talking about this in detail over time. Why planning matters, you need to understand the full scope of work before committing resources. It's very important to understand why you're doing something. Coordinate the timelines with the team, identify the risks, prepare mitigation strategies, secure buy-in from stakeholders. Excuse me. Establish a baseline to measure progress. So yeah, the golden rule, one thing that I would always tell everybody, never skip planning to save time. As I said, project lifecycle may not be linear, because if you've started executing a project, it's possible to go back to planning stage. So if you fail to plan, okay, now let me give you an example why you should not skip planning. Say you're on a project now, oil and gas. That's where I came. Oil and gas projects where you're supposed to deliver crude, say 20,000 barrels of oil to a terminal in Port Harcourt, all the way from Lagos. I've planned my projects, and I know the vessel to use, I know the timeline, I've checked the weather forecast, done everything I need. And along the way, run out of oil, or there's an issue with the engine, and then you need to turn off your engine. You need to stand still, try to fix the problem before you continue sailing. Now, because you didn't plan for this, but you didn't plan that, oh, what if the engine fails? Or what if I run out of fuel? Or what if a pirate attacks me? Because you didn't prepare security. Then now start making calls and trying to spend so much money to fix what you should have actually planned. So, you keep planning, you would eventually waste more time and resources trying to mitigate or trying to solve the problem. When you are determining your schedule, you are basically trying to understand every little details that goes into that project. That's why I mentioned the work pattern structure. You need to simplify the project. Each task should be actionable, assignable, and estimable efforts. You need to understand sequence activities, which one is going first. Sequence activities means some things can go on concurrently, some things need to depend on another thing. I need to clear the land before I dig the floor for foundation. I cannot just go to a forest and start my foundation. It's not possible. I need to clear the land first. But I could be building the house and be plastering at the same time, because I've done the wall of the left while they're working on the right. I can start plastering this, or I could be fixing the pipes for plumbing and electrical works at the same time as I am laying the blocks. So those are dependencies. Some can run concurrently, some need to wait for the other, right? Estimated durations, use expert judgment, analogous estimation, right? For analogous estimation, basically what it means is like you're trying to use historical data, right? Yeah, historical data from similar past projects. Oh, I did this thing last year, cost me this particular amount. I can do my base test for that. Like, oh, I spent 100,000 buying a phone last year. What comes to us should have more than 100,000 now, right? So that's analogous estimation. But for parametric modeling, this is mathematical formulas or statistical relationships between the variables to estimate outcomes. What this means is, say something costs $50 per square meter. Costs $50 per square meter, and then you need to build 200 square meter. Or you just need to multiply the figures together, you get the cost, right? So that's what parametric modeling is. It will help you, understand what you need to do, and then based on experience as an analogous, you can mix the two together. Analogous estimation of parametric modeling. You could take one depending on the project, you could join the two together. So understand your project. Also, you need to assign resources, match tasks to team members based on skills and abilities. I mentioned that with the example of just trying to vessel. Avoid over allocation. You cannot bombard somebody. I think this happens in the tech space when somebody is doing front end, person is looking for bugs and these things. So avoid over allocation. The captain of the vessel cannot be the marine master, cannot be the one that will be overseeing tech operations, stuff like that. Build a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is to visualize the project activities from start to finish. So you have a particular thing. The first thing I need to do is site visit. And then on that line, just pick, oh, this is the date from 21st of April to 23rd of April. While I'm doing that, the next thing could be trying to get a survey. The next thing could be, oh, I want to fence the facility. So there are things that can go on together, and some things have to wait. Finish to start, start to finish, finish to finish, start to start, right? Start, start, finish, finish to start, start to finish. Yeah, we have some tools also. We have Gantt chart, we have Microsoft Project, we have Asana. I don't know if you guys know Asana. Monday.com has been in the limelight, Jira and Smartsheet, right? Yeah, budgeting. Budgeting is very important because, as I said, you have three legs to your project: time, scope, budget. In your budget, you need to estimate labor, materials, equipment, overheads, everything that you're going to use from start to finish. You need to estimate everything, right? And again, a budget baseline. Get an approved budget that becomes reference points for measuring cost performance throughout the project. Say that is where analogous comes in. Based on the situation of things, based on my experience, 200,000 should finish this month. Now reference it to the estimated cost that you already paid. And then cost tracking where you're monitoring what's spent versus what's planned to spend. Yeah. Also, I mentioned reserve, getting your contingency reserve. You can do your variance analysis, meaning you are trying to estimate, oh, am I spending more, or is it the expected value or the actual cost? You're trying to understand what exactly you're doing. That's negative means you're over budget. You're spending way above your budget, and positive means you're under. So normally you should be under, right? You should be under. You should not spend above the budget. Budget changes, you can have some changes to the budget, right? Because anything could happen. Say the Iran and US war, the oil price went up, then affected a lot of things. So yes, based on that, you can request to change your budget. And if approved, well, it works. But sometimes, depending on the type of contract now, we get it there. Depending on the kind of contract, there are sometimes that you will not be able to request for a budget change because of the type of contract that you have signed. Oh, yeah, right. This is the contract writing. It's very important to have a contract to any activity you're working on, any project. I mean, official now, talking official now, this is a contract. It's a legally binding agreement between two parties. Basically, the contract is going to be the project charter is going to contain the contract, and the scope of work, deliverables, timelines, payment terms, and all those things. Writing contract is actually very interesting. I picked up an interest in petroleum law, so I studied petroleum law on my own, and I got to realize that some things can be hidden in a contract. So in my company, I have the privilege of working with the legal team while I prepare a first draft of the contract and then pass it on to them to do they are the ones in charge actually. I just dabble into that department because it's fun. It's fun writing contracts. There are different types of contracts. You have the fixed price, means that I'm giving you 200,000 to build a house. I don't care if you use 10,000 naira to build a house. I don't care if you use 500,000 to build a house, but I'm doing 200,000. Fixed sum. So now this is very tricky because it's the contractor that bears the risk. I made an example of the US-Iran war. You're probably given a project estimate that do the particular project for $1 million, but because of the incidents of that war, right, the oil price went up and then it's going to cost you 2 million. Now, you cannot go back to your vendor or your stakeholder and tell them, oh, based on what happened, I mean, I didn't plan it, nobody planned it, nobody expected it. I will need to get a revised, budget. It's not going to be approved because you signed, some contract, right? Cost plus means that the client pays the actual cost plus the fee. So this usually is when the scope is not certain. Say, I want to build a house, But I don't know how many rooms do I want to build. Initially, you told me we're going to build 2-bedroom apartment. Along the way, you're telling me, "Ah, there's still space on this land. I can add an extra room, right?" So it's the client that will provide the resources for that extra room. That's why it says that our client bears more financial risk. And then time and materials. Time and materials is mostly used in construction. In construction, also in oil and gas, say you're built by the hours. You know, let's say when you're on the rig, when you're on the petroleum rig, you are being paid on a daily basis. So, or when you rent an equipment, you rent a car in Lagos, a GX 470 or 460 for 12 hours would be 200,000 naira or 250,000 naira, right? So once 12 hours is completed, you are expected to return the car or the driver is going to drop you off wherever. And if you extend, you will probably have to pay extra money or you want to get an equipment, maybe a drilling rig. You need to pay per day, 24 hours. For every 24 hours, you are paying. So it now comes down to the contract. Am I going to pay on a daily basis or I would pay the accumulated sum at the end of the month? Indefinite delivery means it is flexible. This is where the government comes to play. I mean, I don't want to give an example here, but it's common in governmental contract here. They set upper and lower order limits. And one thing about contract is it's so interesting that you need to be smart. You need to read in between the lines. If you have a project, get a lawyer. You need to get a lawyer to read contracts and explain to you before you sign. Because there could be clauses hidden. Okay, say for example, there was this project contract that I devised, and normally, let me say in oil and gas space, you're supposed to pay 70% in dollar and 30% in naira. But I tweaked it so much that I wrote 90% in dollars and 10% in naira. But unfortunately, I don't know, maybe the client did not see it or they signed it. Because if they had seen it, they would have, counter offer and like, no, let's do 80-20. But because it is I wrote $90 instead of 70. But it has been signed, they need to fulfill the contract right now. They need to fulfill that contract, terms of that contract. So that's why it's very good to read into the lines of the contract. Yeah. Always have a lawyer. These are the things that are involved, contained in the well-drafted contract. You need to understand the scope of work. Payment terms, yeah. So like I said, putting late payment penalties and currencies. If you default, if you fail to pay on so day, for every day that you don't pay or every day that has passed the expected date, you're going to pay 20% the actual payment. Gets interesting. That's where I used to get happy. I mean, I'm not hoping that you're going to fail, but I mean, everybody wants to make money. So that's how contracts work. You need to understand the timelines and milestones, roles and responsibilities. Termination clauses, say, as I mentioned, if you're not paying so day, aside from payment terms, if the vessel or if any material fails in your hand, maybe I gave you my car and then you crashed my car for no obvious reasons, or I mean, an incident occurred, you are the one that you're going to pay. You're the delivery party. You're the one that is going to be held accountable for that. And I mean, you could be on the road and you're telling me you don't have money to buy fuel, or if the contract states that it's a client that is going to fuel the vehicle, I could terminate the contract on that basis that this client has said he's not going to buy fuel, so I cannot buy the fuel for this client. And then the contract is terminated. Also, change management is mentioned in the contract and dispute resolution, saying that the document is legally binding. To resolve any issue, we need to call the federal government or we need to take it to the religious leaders. Things like that can be mentioned in the contract. Yeah, I said we're going to talk about risk management. I'm sorry, please, how much time do I have left?
Go on as much as you want to use.
Okay. I hope I'm not boring you guys. I'm sorry. Just get interested when I'm talking about things like this. Yeah, so risk is an uncertain event that if it occurs, it's going to affect the part of the project. Risk is something that every project manager should, scared of. You should, at every point in time, you should understand that you need to identify the risk. Before you start the project, before the project commences, you need to identify risks. Basically, 35-step processes, identify the risk, analyze the risk, plan the response, implement, monitor, right? Identification, brainstorm, review, lessons learned, conduct interviews, use checklists. You prepare checklists. Okay, I want to build a house in a village. What are the risks? I mean, the first thing coming to my head now is, somebody can come and tell me that, I'm building that for that land, right? That is a risk. Because community guys could come and stop your work and tell you that you are not entitled to that land, and then you have wasted time, you have wasted resources, if actually you did not confirm that that land belongs to them. Put lessons learned from previous projects, analyze, assess probability. Can this thing occur? Is it possible for rain to fall every day and impact my project? Is it possible for rain not to fall at all? Because sometimes you need rain to fall. Is it possible for oil price to go down or up? Is it possible that the Republic holiday and it will affect marine industry? Is it possible that there would be strike, Labour Congress strike, and then I will not be able to get the materials I need for my project? You need to analyze and plan a response. You need to choose a strategy. Are you going to avoid risk? Are you going to transfer the risk? Are you going to mitigate or accept it? Now, for these particular 4 stages, plan response, you can avoid the risk. You can transfer the risk, mitigate and accept. If you are avoiding the risk, it means that you are trying in everything I'm going to do this project. I am not going to involve so and so person. I am not going to try and do this particular activity. I'm only going to focus on the work. Now, transfer mostly occurs within vendors and stakeholders, say contractor and stakeholder. Now, depending on the type of contract, for lump sum, let me take it back. For lump sum, the contractor, the what's the word? The owner of the project, which is stakeholder, has transferred financials to the contractor. For cost plus, the contractor has transferred the financial risk to the product. So that's how it works. You can transfer this. Okay, I don't have to be the one to answer this thing. I don't have to be the one to do this thing. Let me employ somebody else, a third-party company. Okay, guys, I don't want to be the one bringing fuel or bunker to my vessel. I want you guys to handle bunker delivery. I want you guys to handle feeding. I want you to handle fresh water. So give them the task and then allow them to execute. Because if you are the one doing everything at a particular time, it might cause a problem because there's a gap or there's a breach or you forgot to make requests or because of timeline you're overwhelmed and then you forgot to do something. It could impact the project. Or if you have a team standby on bunker supply, if you have a team standby on feeding, it's kinds of eases the workload on you. Mitigating the risk is trying to put an action in place. Okay, I'm sending this guy to get the fresh water, or I'm picking this compass. So what if they feel I need to have somebody on standby? Anytime that is mitigating the risk. Even though the person I will call is not going to come in immediately, like maybe the supply was supposed to come in today, and then my clients are telling me, or my subcontractor are telling me, there's been an issue, maybe their system is down or their logistics boat is down. I have to call my plan B. Please, I have a problem. I need to get materials from point A to point B. can you do it for me tomorrow? The person can say, oh no, we can't do tomorrow, but we can do next tomorrow. If it makes sense, then I would go ahead with it. That is the risk mitigation. They are trying to mitigate the attempt is going to get on board, but it might just be delayed. So it will not entirely affect or impact the project in such a way that, oh, there's no fuel, there's no supply, we don't have any backup, I'm going to be a shutdown, right? And then accepting the risk is a more all than attack. If I perish, I perish. So accepting that risk means that you are going to, that you are liable, you are accountable. If at all that risk actually occurs and then there's no mitigation or for unforeseen circumstances, then so you can do. That is where you pay. So it's the project owner now that bears that responsibility. And stage 4 is implementation. You execute the planned responses. Ensure the risk owners act on the assignments. Track it in risk register. You need to build a risk register. And while you're monitoring, what you're doing is build every project meeting, every toolbox meeting, you are reviewing. Okay, say you are trying to construct a house here in the village. The risk could be reptile attack. You don't know if there are snakes in the neighborhood. So planning, mitigating the risk is maybe you have guys on standby. Maybe you have fumigated the area, you have built barriers, fence or something around that facility. These are the things that actually allow you track the progress, track the risk register, and then watch for triggers. And if anything occurs, if anything doesn't occur, update it on the risk register. If anything occurs, update it on the register, and also reassess the risk. Types of project risk. It could be scope risk, it could be schedule risk, the cost risk, resource, technical, external. Right. These things are self-explanatory. Unclear requirements in the scope risk. I already told you I want to build a house, but you didn't tell me how many bedrooms you want me to build for you. That means that the requirements was unclear. So if there's a problem, the contract did not state the number of hours. So it's going to be a long process trying to solve this problem. So it's better, always better you spell it out, you do your work breakdown structure, do your scope, write everything down. The schedule risk is unrealistic timelines, as I explained, delays, dependency delays, regulatory approvals. You might not really estimate. You cannot plan for these things, but you need to plan for them. Cost risk, exchange rate fluctuation, as I said, vendor price changes. Go there today, it's 20 naira, you go there tomorrow, it's 15 naira, stuff like that. You need to plan for them. You need to know what can go wrong before it actually goes wrong, so that you have plans in place to mitigate them. Resource risk, technical risk. External risk could be regulatory changes. Say, for instance, you've been awarded a project by so and so governor, or the project did not start, and then the governor is trying to is ending, and then project did not still start, and then the new government takes over and it's like, oh, I'm not doing this project. Stuff like that. You don't have a control right because you had a contract with the previous government, right? So political instability, market shift, force majeure. Oh, there's a new product. There's a new product. You are the one selling those just Dangote cement I use, and then someone comes up and is selling maybe pure chem cement at half price where you're selling. You cannot go and meet the other company and be like, no, you're trying to spoil the business. Yes, I don't think there's a making profit or not. That's not your business. It's an external risk, but it's last profit. Yeah. And these are ways to mitigate the risk. For every risk that you identify, you need to plan a response. And you need to determine the right response, the right strategy. So the first thing we need to avoid, change the project plan to remove the risk entirely. Entirely, that's why sometimes, some companies are trying to reduce the workload of their staff. Some are trying to employ more people. Some are transitioning to AI, trying to improve a particular system. Can transfer the risk, shift the financial impact to a third party through insurance, get insurance on your vehicles, on your equipment, on fixed price contracts. Now, a lot of, as I said, a fixed price contract is a lump sum contract. Now, someone could be smart enough to ensure that contract, right? Like the project itself. That's why it's mentioned here. When a specialist can manage the risk better than you, typically a financial or legal risk, insurance companies, you can engage them. You can also mitigate the risk, reduce probability or impact of the risk through early action. Good. Maybe you are trying to build a system, maybe a robot. Need to be testing, need to be the prototype, need to train the model, need to add profiles. Okay, just in case this happens, things like that. When to use you when it cannot be avoided, right? But you can reduce the consequence of that risk. Then finally, accept, acknowledge the risk and proceed. Active acceptance set aside consequence reserves. It's best to use when the cost of response exceeds the impact or the risk probability is very low. A risk register is a document. Every risk is mentioned and identified, described, put the probability of occurrence, the impact, who is going to impact, the action party, everything that concerns that risk. Risk register. All right, these are some execution and monitoring. So now this is stage 3 and 4 because execution and monitoring goes hand in hand together. What are you tracking? The schedule. You're tracking the schedule, completion rates versus the planned dates. You're tracking the action items. Have I closed out on these particular items? What do I need? Do I have deadlines to meet? I need to track that I meet this deadline. Milestones. Progress towards key deliverable checkpoints. Cost, actual versus projected, forecast complete what you estimated and what you actually spent. You are tracking your risk and issues, the new risk, old risk, the ones you try to mitigate, and the changes, right? You need to track your changes also, because this will be documented. And then we have some tracking tools. I mentioned Gantt chart already, which shows the timelines and the dependencies, also the progress. It's one chart that once you look at it, you can identify, oh yeah, this at this stage, this is where they are, this is what I'm supposed to be doing now. Project roadmap, that one it's graphical. We all know that okay, from this point to this point, from this point to point A to point B to point C, that's how it looks like. And the bond chart shows how much time you need left so for that project. Say it's a 90 days project. So for every day the candle burns, showing you avoid almost time. You need to get moving and finish this work on time. Yeah. All right. Stage 5 is on completion, right? You are trying to close project and finally put it. So anywhere is important as starting. It is just as important as starting. Number one thing you have to complete very fast. Verify that everything in your WBS is completed. Accept the deliverables. Depending on the kind of contract, it could be in writing. It has to be in writing, rather. It has to be in writing. Telling you verbally or orally is not enough. It's not enough because anybody can deny you. Somebody could forget that you actually said something, and then when an issue occurs, be like, "Oh, I told you." There's no evidence because the person will claim ignorant. Financial closeouts, you need to reconcile the cost, release the remaining budget, close all the purchase orders, and sales outstanding invoices. Document your lessons learned. That is very important. Everything that went on during the project, every change that you encountered, every budget, every scope creep you encountered, everything you project, how you could do things better. You need to document it. Also, release. When I mean release, like it's the team. Yeah, you're trying to like put it. Is that a call to me?
So if there's a mistake, you can go on. Someone unmuted your mic. You can go and check.
Okay, so you're finally closing the rules. Thank you so much. We're done with this project. We no longer need the service of a front-end developer. The website is back, it's online. You have built the car for me. Thank you so much. I'll go to your house, provide reports and stuff. Basically, I'm releasing the team. We are trying to tell them, I don't cooking or everybody has eaten. Thank you so much. I'll go back to your house. And then finally, let's communicate the results. For every project you do, you need to prepare a project report. And the project report is going to contain all the achievements you encounter, all the challenges you face, the outcomes, metrics, and the achievements. Everything that occurred during that project, you need to, communicate it to stakeholders. And also, this is the playbook. I mean, the playbook is just a guide to what I have gone through, right? So key lessons from the field, what separates the good PMs, PM as in project manager, from the good ones. I mean, we have some bad ones, but I mean, let's not talk about the bad because we are all learning to become better. So let's focus on good, better, because better is best, right? Number one is success is structured, not random. Great outcomes are engineered through rigorous process. Like it's not luck. You cannot do project management or engineering and say it's luck. It's never luck. You need to trust the process. You need to follow the process from start to finish. Number two, people over process. I mean, tools and templates help, but it's your relationship with the team that actually terms outcomes. Say, I don't just like this. I don't just like this person. So when I'm supposed to go and meet the person and communicate that, oh yes, there's something going on with the project, so I don't like the person, I'm not going to talk to the person. It's going to be a problem. And then it's going to affect the project entirely. You need to communicate more than you think necessary. Silence breeds anxiety, right? Stakeholders will feel informed that sponsors will support you. So that is something that actually occurs in the project space. You need to plan for risk before it finds you. Proactive risk, you need to identify everything that could go wrong with the project before you even start it. Review this risk every day, every project meeting. At the end of the week, you can see some and then, okay, we can close out on this because we have tried to investigate or put actions or plans that can stop it, right? And then scope is scared, is sacred rather. Never let scope expand without a formal change order. As I said, you can always look for a change request. You can always look for change requests. Whatever is going on, you can look for it. Yeah. Small informal additions are the single biggest threat to the project function because they are never planned for, but they actually do occur. Close properly. A poorly closed project damages your reputation. That is one thing that cannot be underemphasized because at the end of the day, the reason why you are embarked on a project, if not to make money, is to they are developing a service, they are giving out a service or a product. So if your project is not to make money, but you should be happy. Say your project is me leaving my house, go to the office. Getting to the office means that my project is successful, right? I did not step, or I didn't go out of my way, and then something else happened, and I start blaming myself as to this, that, and that, right? Always celebrate your team. You need to encourage them when somebody does something. Acknowledge them. Thank you so much. Spotlight your team members. Document the lessons. Deliver a close report. It's very important that your team members are involved as to what's going on. As a project manager, yes, you are the one interfacing with the stakeholder, but you still communicate with your team guys, communicate with your team members, tell them, oh yeah, this is what is going on, this is what is going on. So even if they are not going to take decisions basically, but just keep them in the know that I spoke to the stakeholder, this is what they said, guys, can we do this, can we do that? Always, engage them, involve them in the decision making process. And then this is probably my last slide. I know that we are not exactly facing any serious project, but I want you to liken this to your day-to-day life, right? To your day-to-day life, you need to review current projects from research or telling me. Now that you understand what should be the project chapter, you need to understand how you should identify or face project. Even if project is to buy or change your wardrobe or buy something for the house or put stuff and stuff. So you need to understand everything that could go wrong during that project. Schedule a stakeholder alignment meeting. Always communicate with the stakeholders. It could be your family, your friend. It could be the person that wants to help you with that particular task. Yeah? Excuse me. At the end of the month also, track your milestones, record it. If you have any contracts, you need to review the contracts. Can you review the timelines? Can you check the milestones? Can you run a workshop, right? Okay, yes. So run a risk workshop with your project team end of the month. And at the end of the quarter, every 3 to 4 months, you need to implement a standard project closeout process with templates, tell everybody what is going on in the project. And then you can also start building your own playbook because you can only understand or you can only develop something based on your own personal experience, which is what I'm sharing with you guys. It's my own experience I'm sharing with you. So it's something that you learn on the job, right? You learn these things on the job. Anthony the same said that a goal without a plan is just a wish. If you want to make it, I mean, everybody wants to make it, but they don't know how to want to make it. Oh well, it's just a wish. That's what it's saying. So I'll leave you guys with these words. Don't just seek mentorship. Nobody wants to. Everybody will tell you, oh, please, I need a mentor. I need this particular person. But you can seek mentorship, but also need to seek responsibility, ownership, and accountability. A lot of people don't want to be held accountable for their activities. They don't want to own up to mistakes. They don't want to errors. But that's something that I don't want you guys to do. You should don't just seek mentorship. You need to be accountable, seek responsibility, and ownership. And also, the fastest way to grow in this industry is to get close to the operation. Get close to something that is going to require your hands on deck. You might not have the opportunities, but wherever you find yourself here, try to be involved in that particular project. Try to close it out. Try to see that everything is going smoothly. You could be the one tracking the progress. You could be the one tracking the risk. But so far, you are in the system. It means that you are learning and you are growing. So, guys, thank you so much for this session. I think I will now take questions.
Thank you so much, Pelumi, for honoring this class, and thank you for an insight on your class today. I believe we have all learned a lot, and you've also assisted in doing a review of everything that has been done during the course of the class. So over to you, Benga. Please, if anyone has questions, do well to coordinate the questions so Pelumi can answer our questions.
Okay, Mr. Pelumi, thank you so much for the session. And thank you. Hey.
60.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Please let's mute our mic now, please. So you can hear me now. Hello,
Yes, I can hear
please.
you.
Okay, yeah. So thank you so much, Mr. Pelumi. Thank you for the wonderful session. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Mr. Anthony, for bringing another professional to that speak to us. And thank you, lecturer, for all the classes, all the lessons, and everything we have learned so far. Now we appreciate questions and answers. Please, if you have any questions, please you can just unmute your mic or raise up your hand so we can call you to ask your question, please. And if you're in a noisy place, you can also type your questions in the chat box so I can just read it out for you. Please just ask a question. Okay, Mr. Pelumi, please can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I have a little question. I don't know what it is. Okay. So concerning the triple constraint of the project, the time, the cost, and the scope. If anything happens to the scope of the project, that means can the scope can so if anything happens to the scope of the project, can the time to complete the project also increase or reduce? Let's say the normal project is to build 12 house, and due to the scope, now the scope change to building 8 house. Is it possible for the scope for the time constraint to also like reduce and increase? I hope you get my question.
Okay, if I get the question correctly, you're asking if the scope or a change to scope can affect the project, right?
Yeah, can it like increase and also reduce the time to complete the project? That's the question.
Oh, well, a change to scope, it's a triangle: scope, project, cost, and time rather. So now, if you've been tasked to build a 3-bedroom apartment, right, and then you're now changing the scope to a 1-bedroom apartment, is that it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, the first thing you would have done is to write the goals, yeah, which is, the plan to build a 3-bedroom apartment, within the scope of work, everything you need, within your deliverables. Now, after a while, you've gotten to, let's say, you've gotten to execution. Like you've started work already, and then maybe your contractor or your stakeholder is saying that due to what circumstances, we probably don't have the funds to proceed. Let's just, reduce this particular thing. Bear in mind that to start that 3-bedroom apartment, you must have done a survey, must have done the town planning documents, must have drawn a plan, building plan, gotten consent, done all these things. You might have even built foundation. You might have started, you might have taken the house to later. So in that way, you have actually wasted money because you cannot go and get the cost that you've spent. You've spent it already. You cannot get that cost back. So yes, it would reduce your timeline, but at the same time, you have spent your budget. So it's a three-way thing. If you affect one leg, it should affect the other. So I think that answers the question.
Yes, yes, sir.
Hello, are you there?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Yes, you. Please,
Okay.
let's ask some question now. The mentor is technical.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, I said yes, sir. You answered my question very well, sir.
Oh, okay. Do I have any other question? Okay. So in the absence of no question, I would like to give you guys a case study. I'll give you guys a case study. Come in.
Okay, all right, guys. While Pelumi is trying to search out uh, a sample to show you guys, Pelumi raised up one of the risks in job operations where you have community issues. And I could remember so many times, if Pelumi could recall, when we were just in, I could remember so many times community have come and stopped my work, and most times community have carried me. There was a time doing one of the jobs, and community came and who is the team lead for this job, and the guys pointed me, and that's how community carried me. They stopped our work and so many times. So most of the ways you cannot predict some of the risk. I could remember there was one of the time that in one of the communities we went to work, we were being shut down by the community for 3 days inside that community. We're going out for operations and community tie leave. They tied the Jew in front of the road, and for 3 days we're led to stay inside the community. We didn't go. So this risk, in as much as you identify all the risks, you try and identify all the risks, there are some risks also you still cannot identify, and you need to learn how to be able to handle some of these risks when it arises. All right, Pelumi, over to you.
All right, thank you, Anthony. If I start sharing personal experience, I'm sure we're not going to leave this place. So I don't want to bring anybody there, but things things happen. That's why I said you need to always have a respect. Sometimes the weirdest thing could happen, and then in fact, you'll be destabilized and you will not even know how to solve this problem. But once you understand these key processes of project management, you understand that yes, these things happen, but the first thing to do is communicate. Communicating effectively is very important. So right, we have a case study here. Case study one is an offshore platform construction, right? So an oil and gas company awarded a lump sum EPC contract for an offshore platform, right? The scope was well defined but underestimated. And now I mentioned the risk here. The contractor bore most of the risk, unexpected seabed conditions required extra piling, no provision for scope variation in the contract. You as a project manager, how do you go forward this project? Whoever wants to speak can just go ahead. Anybody there? Is anybody still in class?
Sorry, sir, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I just read out case study one. You as a project manager, how do you go forward with case study one?
Why is everyone quiet? No comments. Goodness, say something.
Okay, since everyone is quiet, I think I'll pinpoint out people that will answer the question. So, Kosarat, what do you have to say about what your co-mentor just said? Um, Kosarat, please, can you
Okay,
respond?
good evening.
Thank you.
So sorry. Sincerely, I couldn't really hear what Mr. Pelumi was saying. He only said you are the project manager. I couldn't hear the last statement. I'm currently typing himself. Please, can you ask him to? I don't know if it's network. I couldn't hear the last part of the project manager stuff.
So I feel if at any point we're unable to grab something, it's easier to make the request for it to be reset than to keep quiet. Then when we are being called upon, we'll tend to go back to it. So I think your co-mentor was asking in terms of case study one, if you're a project manager, how will you handle such project? Like what would be your point of interest in the project and how would you want to streamline your timeline to be able to achieve the project? So that is the question. Do you mind going ahead now? Kusara, can you hear me?
Yes, Mike, I can hear you. I'm reading the case study. Sir, I'm not really sure.
Okay, Benga, you have something to say. Go on. Why Kosarat review and answer.
Okay, sir. So the case study is talking about a fixed price contract. That means the price has been fixed. Regarding of if the contractor we overspend the budget or underspend the budget, the client does not care. It's like talking about the price of oil affecting construction processes. So here the price of the contract has been fixed. So the contractor will like bear most of the risks of the project. That means they might have to like agree on a new, they might have to agree. The client and the contractor might have to agree on a new document that will make sure that the both of them will share the risks. Since there are things that even though the risks has been defined earlier on, the scope has been defined, but now there are unexpected risks happening. So they might have to like decide on a new contract that makes sure that the both of them will have to share the risks. And also um they also have to like share the cost too. They will have to need extra funds to solve the problem of the seabed like collapsing or anything collapsing. You have to share the extra cost and also a new contract that makes sure that they both share the risks of the project. That's what I have to say, sir.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I would like to hear someone else's opinion. Sorry, go ahead. Okay.
Evening, sir.
All right, Bisong, go on.
Hello?
Bisong, please go on. Your hand is being raised.
Okay, all right, yes, sir. So what I wanted to say is just in agreement with what Mr. Gwenga said. I believe that as a project manager, that's why we do all this proper planning and allocate funds for unexpected risk and all of that. But if it happens, let's say because of underestimation, then I believe you will just have to, call back your team and then have a meeting with your CEO. Then, we have definitely there has to be a meeting where you just let everybody know that this is what is happening before taking the next step. I believe you have to contact your CEO and your team. You all have to come up, have a meeting, know that okay, this agreement has already been signed, and if it's a contract you can go back on, and I believe they will have to be at the risk, just as Benga said, sir. So
Okay.
that's all I have to
Yeah,
say.
that's good. I think Julius, you have to floor.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Good evening, Engineer Pelumi. Thanks for the lecture. Well, for me, said the pool scope was well defined but underestimated. That is from the planning stage. Having a project underestimated is a big issue because cost is like the life of a project. One, you've actually underestimating a project in terms of cost will lead to project abandonment. That's a very big one. A project that is underestimated will definitely delay the completion of that project. The livelihood of completing that project is very low. So now risk factor, contractor bore most of the risk. A contractor should not bear most of every project. The contractor should not bear most of the risk project of a project. Project manager knows that a contractor can't bear most of the risk. It depends on the clause signed on the project. Then unexpected seabed condition required extra piling. Yeah, this is what this is not a scope creep anyway, but it's unforeseen circumstance. So it's something you do, you plan doing your doing risk planning. When you are doing risk, yeah, is something part of those things you plan, something unforeseen circumstance. That is why when doing risk planning, you create you visualize an event and plan a mitigating factor. So when this happen, you go back to your risk register to know what step to take. How do you want to mitigate this? Then no provision for scope variation in the contract. Every contract, there should not be, if there's any change in variation, if any scope, actually contract, there should not be variation actually. But if there's going to be, then we go back to the company as regards to this particular case. You go back to the company and discuss it. Because every contract, there should not be scope variation to avoid scope creep. That's the little I could say.
Right. Thank you so much. Now, the answer, I mean, it's obvious, yeah. It's stated there, it's a fixed price contract. The contract is signed and awarded. Right. The company already started executing the project because it was until they got to the seabed before they realized that they needed extra piling, which would cost more. Extra piling would cost more. So now what they should have done before signing that contract, number one, to avoid this risk here, they should have tried to understand the subsurface environment of that project. They should have their change management form to say that, oh yes, in case of any change in scope or scope creep or whatever it might be, there's going to be allocation for it in the contract. Also, contractor is expected to bear the risk, contrary to what you said, Julius, because it is a fixed price contract. It's a lump sum contract. As I said earlier, the stakeholder has transferred the financial risk to the contractor. But the contractor did not do his due diligence before accepting that contract. So for case study 2, Ogechi, I think your hand was up. So maybe you can start talking on case 2 before we move forward. It's a government engaged an engineering firm on a cost plus incentive fee contract to expand its thermal plant. The risk issue, high uncertainty in design and environmental approvals, client bore most of the financial risk. Contractor had little incentive to control costs at first. What do you think? Is Ogechi there? Answer earlier. Right. Anybody has the floor to answer this? Or we can go to case 3 as it seems. Anyone want to answer? It's the IU project. Is anyone talking? Okay.
Mr. Pelumi, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
Okay, so sir, from the case study, the risk you already wrote out, I don't know what you want us to add to it. I mean, it's a cost plus project, like it's well stated, and clients bears all the risk. So we are not disagreeing with that. We are agreeing to it. So I don't know where you want us to come in.
You as a project manager, what would you do? What would you have done?
Okay, as a project manager, and it's a government, project, a government engaged an engineering firm, and let's say I'm working with the engineering firm under a cost plus incentive fee contract to expand the thermal power plants. And okay, there are high uncertainty in design and environmental approvals. Clients bear most of the risk. Contractor had little incentive. As a project manager, I feel like I cannot whatever risk I face or wherever risk we face must be planned well and must be clearly stated for the contractor, for the people who are hiring the government. I have to state every risk I face. Okay, this is what we faced when we went to this place. We're not given approval or there was some delays adding to anything. I feel like you just have to communicate properly to the people so that they can take care of all the financial risk. So I think communication is key here as a project manager.
Okay, so your answer is communication. Does anybody want to shed light on this? Does anyone have another opinion? Okay, so a cost plus incentive it's a different kind of contract. Yeah. Now, there's going to be an incentive. Say, I want to do this amount of projects. Contract says 5 days. But I'm like, if I can build it in 3 days, I'm going to get so and so as my incentive. So basically, that's what it means, right? But then you do not understand the design. You don't understand the approval process as the contractor. But the cost, the risk is actually more on the client, on the owner of the stakeholder, because the client can give you a thermal power plant for this contract. The thermal plant does not have to work. I mean, if it's not in the contract, right? If there's no success, if there's no variable success that's attached to this project, he will tell you that I need to build you a car. Does this not look like a car? I mean, you understand what I mean? And because you have stipulated within a time frame that he's going to get an incentive for doing this job, then he's going to get it, right? So let's go to case 3. Who wants to help us on case 3? The consortium financed, built, and operated a toll highway under a build, operate, and transfer contract. That's a beauty. We have financial risk, social risk, and legal risk. You, as a project manager, how do you help with this project?
My network is pretty bad, so I dropped my answer in the chat box. So I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, I'm going to check that. Oh, intangible risk. Interesting. All right. As a project manager, the first thing I would do is checking CP data against how much. And somebody, all right, thank you. Then I would calculate how much extra cost and time this will add to the project. After that, I would review the contract to see if there's any way to raise a variation claim since the condition was unestimated. After, I would discuss with the client and contractor to find a solution, like sharing the cost and adjusting the contract. That is not possible because you have already signed the contract. At the same time, I'll look for ways to reduce the cost, like improving the design, adjusting the work. Right. Okay. So now, that is for case study 1. The problem is on the contractor. Contractor should have done his due diligence before going to execute the project. That is why the contractor is in trouble. Because if he had done what's it called, a bathymetric survey on the sand, on the subsurface, we would have understood that, oh, this is probably what I'm going to use to do piling in this particular environment. And that would have been taken into consideration before signing the contract. But because it wasn't taken into consideration, he has signed a contract he needs to execute on his own finance. All right. He's going to be in charge of that. Okay. I don't know which answer. I think this is to question 3. As a project manager, I would first ensure a strong financial plan and prepare for risks like low traffic or currency changes. Then I would engage the community early to avoid protest and build trust. That is very good. I would also work closely with the government to prevent sudden policy changes. I mean, the government is an external risk. That might not be so possible, but close communication with them can give you heads up if something like that is likely to happen over time. That's good. And then you said you will keep monitoring risk and ensure the project runs smoothly. Thank you very much. Well done. Well done.
Thank you, sir. So I'm also Balumi.
That's nice. That's nice. All right. I think we are done. Let me go back to the actual slide. Who wants to say something?
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I was okay. For the first, let me start with the social. Can you hear me? I think you are
Yes, I
can
can.
you hear me?
I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay. First, the social risks involved, which is the community. They are key stakeholders because they are the one. They are also like the end users of the project, and they will be the one paying toll. So even from the planning stage, you need to identify them, carry them along. If possible, have a community, a kind of meeting with their with the key stakeholders, with their representative. You need to have a meeting with their representative to let them understand the benefit.
Right. Thank you so much. That was beautifully said. Yeah, try
And
to.
the
Okay.
legal aspect, you might not foresee it from the case study said at the midway. It's at the midway, and you
That's
can't
correct.
take that away. You can't cut out anything that has to do with legal. So you just try to understand new regulation and see how you can work with the new regulation. That is another point I can say as regards to the legal. And finances, it should be stated in the contract. There should be a clause whereby, for instance, I remember when it was floating of the naira that leads to issues of dollar and naira. So it should be part of the contract. There must be a clause that
Close. Yeah.
will cover that. I think that's how you can handle that this particular case. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. Joy.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mr. Pelumi. I just want to add to what I can't remember his name. The last person that just finished talking, you already said most of the things. You already said most of the things I wanted to say. What I just want to contribute is concerning the social risk management. You already said that community. So if you let them understand the benefits of a project, I believe that when a community understand what they are going to benefit from a project, they are not going to protest it, and they are going to support your project. Also, about the financial risks, I would say as a project manager, I am going to make sure the agreements, I'm going to make sure we agree or negotiate the revenue sharing in stable coins, like stable currency.
Okay.
Stable currency like let's say USD.
Why not Nigerian naira?
Sam?
Why not Nigerian?
Okay, because sometimes Nigerian naira to dollar fluctuates. The price is not stable, but USDT is like a stable currency. So if you're making your plans and you're using USDT, I don't think the prices or the amount is going to like have much changes or like very high differences.
Okay, but then you're working for the government, right? It's the government like a contract. should the government not pay you in their own naira to further improve the naira circulation? Or you want them to go and get dollars for another country to pay? I mean, that's your opinion. This is just my question to you. I'm not attacking your answer, but I just want to understand to get that. Yes, well, your reason is valid. You want a stable currency, but then, question: if you agree on, do you mean that everybody passing your toll is going to pay a dollar at the toll gate? Because everybody passing has to pay money. Are they going to pay it in naira or are they going to pay it in dollar? That calls for another question, right? So thank you very much. Good attempt on the question. It's very nice. So the case studies are just like your thinking process, you really understand execution stage and then to close out and stuff. So I mean, you guys have done well. If you have any other questions, you can still ask me. I don't know if the session is running up very soon. But then if you still have any question, Benga, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I want to ask a question, not a question. I want to it's a question. So what is the way forward from here as a project manager? I mean, are we to take certification? What courses can we take? What are things that we can do to be a good, good project manager, to be a certified project manager? What are the courses we can take, certifications to take, and that's all?
Okay. So as I said earlier, we are all project managers. We are all managing projects at a particular stage, at a particular event, or at a particular situation. We are all learning projects. But now, when you now talk about certification, it means that you are trying to get certified by an external body, right? I have two certifications under project management from different organizations. I have one from Coursera. You can go online on Coursera, Google Coursera, and the project management course there. It takes about 6 months, and I think you pay about, I don't know how much they're paying now, maybe about $80 to $100. You would pay to get certified, you get the certification. Also, there are some schools in Lagos. I know JK Michaels, it's in Ikeja. I don't know how much they are paying, but I can see your emoji. I mean, it's not cheap because you get to understand the nitty-gritty of project management. I don't know your background, and as I said at the end of my slide, you really need to understand your industry because it's where you are playing that would actually help you, get better. The fastest way to grow is get close to real operation. By the time you are doing this thing over and over and over, you don't have to be a project. You can just be a member of the team. But being a member of the team opens you up to the ideas, opens you to the activities that's going on in the project, the execution, the monitoring, and the reporting stage. All you might be doing is just reporting, but it's on you to go to the guys, the office or the field, guys, how do you guys do this thing? I just want to understand it. And then by learning the process, by understanding the process, it means that you become more involved in these activities. Do you understand?
Yes, sir, I do. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So if you want the overall certification is from PMI, that's the Project Management Institute. That's an international body. There are project management certificates. No, not certificate. The exam. The exam alone is about 350. Not even, So, but if you do really need that certificate, it means that you really want to go in that line of career you start. You need that certificate, and it's very good. I would advise that aside from this session, you can pick up a course online. I don't know if that's it. I don't know, but I know Google Coursera, so you can check on Google Coursera. You thought, and you would have projects. Even on Coursera, I do some projects, and then you defend the project. So something that you guys can do also, and then work around it. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It does. Thank you, sir.
Please, I also have a question. Good evening, everyone.
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for this section. I really learned a lot from your lecture. Yeah. So please, the question I want to ask is not entirely relating to project management, but it's based on undergraduate stuff. Because currently
Okay.
I'm a student, 400 level petroleum engineering student at FUPRET, and I know you also study petroleum engineering at UI. I also had the chance to see you from afar at STSC, so I didn't have the chance to meet you physically. So, sir, my question is, back at your undergraduate days, what could you have done better that will have helped you navigate the energy industry better, like more in a good way? Yeah. I don't know if you understand my question. So, did you get my question?
I kind of understand the question. Well, I'm going to link it back to project management, yeah. And I would answer your question based on my own experience.
Okay,
So,
thank you, sir.
right, right. While I was in school, I was at 200 level. I was in 200 level, I already realized that it wasn't really the books anymore. It wasn't really the books. I'm not saying this to discourage anybody, but we understand how Nigerian works and how the system is rigged. So I figured it out early on that I needed to work on my soft skills. Soft skill, I started going out. I joined not several organizations, but in SPE, I joined several teams. I paid money for conferences. As at 100 level, I had my HSC level 1 and level 2. So level, I did my HSC level 3, which some 500 level students did not have at that time. I didn't know why I needed these things, but I just really thought that, yes, this is something I would like to have. And I registered for those courses. I got certified. I pushed myself more. Now, not academically, not I'm talking about book right now. I'm talking about the volunteering aspect here. I served in SPE. I got appointed as a PRO, appointed as PRO for 2 years, communications officer. I just wasn't doing so much. I wasn't applying to fill up these roles. But but I'm sorry. All right. Yeah, so what I'm saying is basically based on my volunteering activities, I got so good that I started leading teams. I led citywide teams. I led CSR projects. And these are project management skills because they are just, guys, let's come together. We want to do this thing. We want to go and clean up this environment. These are the things that we need. I need to manage this one. That is how it started, you know, and that's how it really works. Because it's the little things, to be very honest. And then after that, I started going out to more conferences. I started going to nice. And then it became so serious that I was going on in the department at that time, I had to be aware of it. So that is how I'm going to link it to project management because eventually, I think at 400 level, we needed to go on IT. And then most companies are taking their interns, and then because of our calendar, and then based on our calendar, right, we were lagging behind. So it just was on me to start calling people, and this people I was calling were like people that we met at Nice. So met people at Nice, introduced ourselves, spoke to them, and then fortunately, we were able to get like internship placements for everybody in the class, aside from the people that already had their placement. And then my teacher was like, but more about you, not actually like spoken for yourself. So others spoke first. And then, that simple statement, that's act of trying to put others first. These are the things that actually like put me out there. And then coming to now, you asked me after school, I already had all these experiences of managing projects, even though it was not really petroleum engineering, right? But it got easy that during my final level IT, I interned with Ajivin. Just called, I'm sending somebody to your office. Then that was it. And then while we spoke, the only question I was asked was, what leadership experience do you have? And you know already at that point because I was intending to project engineer, right? So asking you, are you a team player? Are you this? Are you that? After like 2 examples of the volunteering activities that we've done, next thing was just resume on Monday. That was it. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't prepare to be. I didn't know it was going to be this fast. So I can resume on Monday. So I had to like take excuse and come next week and everything. And then since then I've worked with Ajivin. By the time the 6 month IT was over, I extended mine to 1 year. Thank God it was COVID. I mean, COVID was a bad thing, but it affected me positively, right? So I had an extended stay in my company for a year. Went back to school. I was working with Ajivin, and after school, NYC till now, now with project manager, right? So it's in 3 to 4 or 5 years, this growth has been there. So basically, you as a final level student, you need to understand your environment. You need to understand basically what you are doing. If by now you don't know what you want to do after school, then that's a problem. So all you need to do is you need to sit back, relax, understand, okay, are the things that I want to do? How do I get there? I had to learn project management in school. I took a course on data analytics. I was just doing all these things. And then getting to my company, and then they're like, oh, I'm supposed to send you guys on the project management training now. So I already have this certification. It was a catalyst for me because I just shut up the ladder because I already had the experience and I had the certificate. I had HSC level 1 to 3. I went to the field immediately. My colleagues could never go to the field. COVID affected companies and companies even had to lead them off, end IT. But me, I did mine for 1 year. So you understand what I mean by understanding? You understand what I now mean by figuring out project management, as I said, is something from the scratch, doing them over and over and over again that makes you better. Right? I don't know if I answered your question or if you have any other question for me.
Yes, sir, you answered the question. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I really learned a lot. Thank you, sir.
Very well. Do you have any question or we have to close for the day? Anthony.
Okay, sorry. Does anyone have any other question before we end the class, please?
All right, Colin, hold on. I'm still with you.
Yeah, I mean, we have several meetings ongoing, so I understand, right?
Okay, Mr. Aluapoli and Mr. Anthony. I don't think there's any other question for tonight. So I think we should just end the class.
I don't know communication when you guys were taking it about what is happening.
All right, good evening. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
All right. So, Kweleme, first of all, thank you so much for honoring to this class. It was quite an insight, and I believe when I speak for all, and it was a wonderful section. Okay. Also, apologies to everyone. I'm currently juggling 2 meetings at the same time, so please pardon me. I had to join on other device because my system is on that meeting. So, I believe everyone has learned a lot today. So on behalf of Lecture Hub and Project Management class, we want to say a big thank you for honoring our invitation today and sharing your insights, your vast knowledge of experience to us tonight. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm always reachable. Left my LinkedIn. Okay, let me Let me just paste it here.
Okay, and to add
They
to
can
what,
always reach me on LinkedIn.
yeah, can you see me?
I didn't get that.
Yes, to add to what Mentor Anthony just said. So I just want to appreciate you for joining us today. I know this is one of the special attributes of project management class for the past 2 years. And it's very interesting to see that you came on board again. Thank you so much on behalf of my team. We are extending our sincere gratitude and also the special recognition for your wisdom, the knowledge, and also the experience you've shared with your students. And I hope your students again win the competition this year. And we will now give a double honor to the project management department. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, I am always available. If you need anything, you can reach out to me. I love to mentor people. I mean, it's something that you have to give back to the society. So that's where I find myself. I'm a YP advocate and a SP leader. So I mean, if there's anything you think I can share with the team, you can always reach out to me. I would make myself available. I'm currently on the field and I have to make some time. I have another meeting ongoing, so I'm in the meeting, but I give you guys, the attention that you needed. So it's fine. I can always, work around my timing, and I had to go and get internet here because there's been no internet for some days. So it's all good. It's all good. I am happy to be here. And next time, I mean, I will probably still answer your call. Yeah, right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oluwapelumi. Thank you, Mr. Anthony, and thank you, lecturer, for this wonderful, wonderful class. I mean, we have been at it for over a month now, and that's been really wonderful. I really learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone here has also learned a lot of things about project management and how we can apply it to our everyday life and even to the industry, to any industry we are in. So far, it is project management. We can do anything. So thank you so much, everyone, for tonight's session. I hope we have a very big week ahead of us. Thank you, everyone, and good night. Have a great night.
All right, thank you all. Have a good night. Bye.